Okay, inshallah. Yeah, inshallah. We start now? Okay. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الحمد لله رب العالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, we are gathering here today. It's for a purpose, actually. I know they call it that we are come to for a lecture and there is a guest speaker and talking to you and you listen. But what most important than that, the saying of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, whenever a group of people they get together in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like this house. So what will happen to them? The purpose, they learn the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They learn about the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Few things happen to them. Maybe we don't see that. Because the angels, they see us, but we don't see them. إِلَّا حَفَّتْهُمُ الْمَلَائِكَةِ. They are surrounded by angels. وَغَشِيَتْهُمُ السَّكِينَةِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will descend down His mercy upon them. And what is more important, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned them to those who are with Him. So this means Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned our names to the angels that with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a big gift. This is a big honor. Maybe you think it's 60 minutes of your life. But this is 60 minutes of your life. It's worth it. Because it's good enough for each one of us. His name will be called to the angels by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, if any one of us today that want to for a big event and the president is there or the vice president of the company or whatever, and that president calls that person's name, he feels very proud because he was called by that person. Then we are being called by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the big gift. Now we get together, and the first thing I always say to myself, say to my family, said, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the opportunity to reach the month of Ramadan, the first thing that we need to do, we have to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that. That if you stay, people, they get too many opportunities in this life. Everybody said, what do you want? Said, I need opportunity to do that. I need the opportunity to do that. I need the opportunity to do that. I myself, I say, the biggest opportunity that each one of us has, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala extends in his life, in her life, to reach the month of Ramadan. It was reported that Talha ibn Ubaidillah was one of the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He said one day, two people from a village came to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and both of them accepted Islam. He said one of them was more diligent than the second one, and he did lots more active, and he went for jihad, and he received jihad. And the second one stayed 1 year after the first one, and then he passed away. Talha ibn Ubaidillah, he said, I have seen both of them in a vision at night. I saw both of them. Then a caller from paradise came and called the second one who passed the second one and called him to enter paradise first. Then he came again and called the first one, and he asked him to enter paradise the second. Then he said, he came to me and he told me, your turn is not yet. He said, when I get up, I try to talk to the companions, and people, they were surprised until the story reached Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Then he said, why you are surprised? Why you are surprised? They said, oh Rasulullah, this man, he was more diligent and he did lots of activities and he went for jihad and he received shahada. How come he would enter paradise second? And the second one who stayed after him and passed regularly normal death, but entered paradise first. فقال صلى الله عليه وسلم, did he not stay alive a year after him? They said yes. Then he said, didn't he fast Ramadan? They said yes. Then he said, didn't he pray so many rak'ahs? They said yes. قال صلى الله عليه وسلم, now the difference between both of them, it's like the distance between the heaven and the earth. So therefore, a person gets opportunity to fast, to stay the month of Ramadan. This is the biggest opportunity. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us too many blessings in this life. Too many blessings. And each one of us, he said that if we try to write the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we will need books and books. But most of the time we forget about that. We don't remember that blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But one of the most blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the month of Ramadan. If the month of Ramadan has nothing except that deletes the mistakes and the sin that we commit during the year, this by itself should be good enough. But the month of Ramadan has more than that. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, الصلوات الخمس والجمعة إلى الجمعة ورمضان إلى رمضان مكفرات لما بينهن إذا اجتنبت الكبائر. Meaning of this hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, from one prayer to another prayer. I prayed Asr, then I'm going to pray Maghrib. Maybe between Asr and Maghrib, I commit some sins, minor sins, and no one is saved. We all as a human, we are created as a weak, and we commit sins, and we have our shortcoming. Everybody has it. Nobody says that I have free of sins. Nobody is free of sins. After this, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then he said, person prays the second prayer. If he does it sincerely, the mistakes that the person commits between one prayer to a prayer, second prayer will delete the mistakes in between. Maybe the mistakes are more than that. Then it comes the Friday prayer. Friday, between one Friday prayer to the second, any sins are accumulated during the week, it will be deleted. Then it comes the big one, the big gift, which is the month of Ramadan. What is the month of Ramadan? It's the sins that accumulated, the minor sins that accumulated during the year. Fasting the month of Ramadan with sincerity and believe in it and believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will erase and delete the minor sins that a person commits. So this is the big gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, big blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to all of us. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told us in many authentic hadiths that it's blessing, big blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We as a human being, as I said, we are weak. We make sense. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very merciful. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Allah has created 100 mercy. Mi'atu rahmah. 100 mercy. Allah has 100 mercy. He has descended in this world just one. Just one. So you see people that are very merciful to each other, very nice to each other. Even animals, you find them, the wild animal, you find them very nice with their youngs. This is just a branch of the one mercy that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent it down to this worldly life. Then what will happen to 99? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has saved the 99 mercies to help people on the day of judgment. So what we have here, what kind of mercy we see among the people and among the animals, it is just a branch from the one mercy that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent down. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one day he saw the people, when the people came from the battle and they were captives, and there was one among the captives, woman, she was searching until she found her child. She hugged the child to her stomach and she breastfed the child. And she caught him tightly. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said to the companions, Do you think this woman will throw her child in the hellfire? They said, no, there is no way, O Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. That's not possible. فقال صلى الله عليه وسلم, and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, الله أرحم بعباده الله أرحم بعباده من هذه بولدها. He said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is more merciful to his people, to his servants, more than this woman to her child. So this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts lots of opportunities. In the month of Ramadan, there is Hajj, there is Umrah, there is the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah, there is always the day of Arafah, there is the day of the Ashura, and all these opportunities are just to help all of us, to save us from the hellfire. Rahmatullahi subhanahu wa ta'ala, the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encompasses everything. Everything. It's under the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, it was reported, إذا كانت أول ليلة من شهر رمضان. On the first night of the month of Ramadan, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, تصفد الشياطين ومردة الجن. So the shayateen, the devils, and the rebellions, the jinn, they will be chained. Then what will happen? وغلقت أبواب النار ولم يفتح منها باب. That all gates of the hellfire will be locked, will be closed. Not even one will be opened. وفتحت أبواب الجنة ولم يغلق منها باب. And all gates of paradise are opened, and not even one will be closed. So this is by itself, it means that we should make a lot of dua. Why? Because the gates of paradise are opened, and the gates of hell are closed. And don't be rushed, don't rush. He said, oh, I called Allah last Ramadan, nothing happened. I called Allah. Wallahi, for something I was asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wallahi, more than 5 or 6 or 7 years, I can't remember exactly. And I saw the result just this year. So don't rush on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you make dua, by just making the dua, it by itself you are engaging in ibadah. As you are engaging in salah, as you are engaging in fasting, as you are engaging in hajj, you make dua, this you are engaging in dua. Then Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, وَنَادٍ يُنَادِي يَا بَاغِيَ الْخَيْرِ أَقْبِلْ وَيَا بَاغِيَ الشَّرِّ أَدْبِرْ. Then said, O seekers of good, come forward. And O seekers of evil, this says, stay away, stop from doing that. And what is more important actually than that, and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, وَلِلَّهِ عُتَقَاءُ مِنَ النَّارِ وَذَلِكَ فِي كُلِّ لَيْلَةٍ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala frees people and release people from the hellfire every night in the month of Ramadan. And it's big opportunity for all of us that to seek Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy, to seek Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help, to release us, to free us. Because Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, لَنْ يَدْخُلُ الْجَنَّةَ أَحَدُكُمْ بِعَمَلِهِ. He said, none of you will enter paradise, depends on his deeds, depends on what he does. فَقَالُوا يَا رَسُولُ اللَّهِ وَلَا أَنْتَ. He said, oh Rasulullah, even you? He said, even me. إِلَّا أَنْ يَتَغَمَّدَنِ اللَّهُ بِرَحْمَتِهِ. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will shower me with His mercy. So everybody will enter paradise by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not depending on his or her actions. So therefore, it's our chance, our opportunity to call Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the month of Ramadan as much as you can. And the most important, we ask Allah for something for this worldly life, and also for the things in the hereafter as well. As you need good life in this worldly life, you need to be you need good life in the hereafter as well. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in hadith, he said, وَالَّذِي نَفْسِي بِيَدِهِ إِنِّي لَأَرْجُو أَن تَكُونُوا نِصْفَ أَهْلِ الْجَنَّةِ. Rasulullah sallam, he said, I swear by the one who's my soul in his hands, I hope that you will be 1/2 of the people of paradise. وَلَا يَدْخُلُ الْجَنَّةِ إِلَّا نَفْسٌ مُسْلِمَةٌ. He said, nobody will enter paradise except a Muslim soul. وَأَنْتُمْ لِأَهْلِ الشِّرْكِ. That's the comparison between you and those who don't believe or have shirk, and they have partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like the white hair of the it's like white hair in the skin of black oxes, or like a white black hair in the skin of red oxes. So therefore, the question that I always ask myself, if that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam hopes that we will be 1/2 of people of paradise, then we are the loser. He is the one, he cannot get a spot. If we'll be 1/2 of people of paradise, and we cannot get a spot there. So therefore, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Ya baghi al-khayri aqbal. O seekers of good deeds, come forward. Any kind of good deed that you can do it. Any kind. Where you find your heart more. Some people, they find themselves poor in the prayer. So make more prayers. You find yourself more in recitation of the Quran, do it. You find yourself more in giving sadaqah, giving charity, do it. You find more in any obedience, not just worshipping, any obedience. Obedience is wider than just worshipping, prayers and fasting. There are more other activities a person can do. But we need to be careful. We need to be careful of those who is going to steal Ramadan. Because there are some thieves. There are some thieves to steal the money. There are some thieves to steal cars. Some thieves, they go and steal houses. And there are some thieves, they steal the month of Ramadan. They steal the month of Ramadan from any one of us if we don't pay attention to that. And if we are not careful and we don't watch ourselves. Because Abu Dharr radiallahu anhu, one day he was with his companions and he said that, you remember that the journey to the hereafter, it's long. And we know, because nobody knows when is the hereafter. We know that we have stages. We have worldly life, you go to the graves, then will be a resurrection. But the time between the grave and the resurrection, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. The time that we're going to stay there. He said, فَخُذُوا مَا يُصْلِحُكُمْ. Take what is benefit for you. What is benefit for you? Then he said, صُومُوا يَوْمًا شَدِيدَ الْحَرِّ لِحَرِّ يَوْمِ النُّشُورِ. He said, fast a day, very hot day, for the heat of the day of resurrection. وصوموا وصلوا ركعتين في ظلمة الليل لظلمة القبر. And this said, pray 2 rak'ahs in the darkness of night for the darkness of the grave. وتصدقوا في اليسر ليوم العسر. And he said, give charity in the prosperity, in the time of prosperity, to save you in the time of difficulty, in the time of hardship. Al-Ahlaf ibn Muqayyis, he was too old. He was too old. They told him that you are old man now, and fasting, it makes you even weaker. فقال إني, I said, I prepare for a long journey. And الصبر على طاعة الله, he said, to be patient, obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now, it's easier than الصبر, to be patient on the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So therefore, we have to be careful. We have to be careful for those who want to steal Ramadan from us. And it was reported that the Yahya ibn Yahya al-Laythi, he was one of the scholars, one of the students of the Imam Malik. And we know the Imam Malik, he was the greatest Imam in Medina in his time. Yahya, he was in Egypt. I was young, very young. Then he came to Medina. He wants to learn from the Imam Malik. So one day, they were sitting in the masjid like that. Imam Malik and his student and Yahya came and attended the lecture. Then they heard something, noise outside the masjid, and news came to them. They said, oh, there is an elephant in the Medina. In Medina, the people never seen elephant. They say the horses, the sheep, and goats, but they never seen elephant. So they said, okay, elephant. Everybody left the masjid. Everybody left, and they left. Imam Malik stayed, and Yahya al-Laythi stayed there. Then Imam Malik asked him, he said, well, why you didn't go with everybody and to watch and to see the elephant? Maybe you have no other chance to see it again. Yahya al-Laythi said, look, Imam, I came from Egypt and I left everything behind, And I crossed all this distance to come to Medina, not to see the elephant. I came here to sit and learn from Imam Malik. What I'm saying, try to say that we should have a goal. And anything try to disturb our goal, we should take it away. Because this barrier, we should remove it from our road. If it wants to disturb our goal, then our goal, we need to save the month of Ramadan. And to need to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we need to be among those whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, at least in one of the nights in the month of Ramadan, will be in the list that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will free them, will release them, that will be free from the hellfire. So therefore, that we need to be careful. Because Ramadan, it's your Ramadan. It's yours. It's yours. You can't give it to somebody else. You can't give it to somebody else. Because Ramadan means paradise. So it was Khaythuma ibn Sa'd. Khaythuma ibn Sa'd, he was old man. He's not that old. And he has his son. So before the battle of Badr, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam knew that people from Quraysh coming, so he said, okay, he has to select some people to go out. So then Khaythuma and his son, both of them, they want to come. Both of them, they said, we need to go with you, O Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. فقال صلى الله عليه وسلم, just one of you. It can't be both of you. Just one of you has to come. One has to stay in Medina, one would come with me. So what they gonna do? The son, the father said to the son, stay here. The son, he said, no, you stay, I stay. Then they draw lots. The name, the son's name came up. He said, the son, he's gonna go. He's gonna come with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So his dad tried to convince him to stay. He said, you are young and you can stay with the Medina. We have family, we have this, we have that. And the son, he was very obedient to his dad. He said, look, Dad, if you ask me anything in this worldly life, and I never said no to you, and if you ask me anything, I will ever prefer myself on you. If you start anything, I will prefer you on me. And anything you ask me. He said, except this one. He said, except this one. He said, this is paradise. And I cannot prefer you on paradise for me. I need a spot in paradise. So what I'm trying to say, this is the month of Ramadan, it's yours. Don't let anybody mess around with it. Don't let anything take it away from you. Because if they take it away from you, then you are the losers. So some of these thieves, the first one, the social media. This is very dangerous. Because what happens if a person does not put a limit to what he see and to what he hear? Believe me, the person will gonna go from one activities to another activities to the third activities, from WhatsApp, from Facebook, then to go the TikTok, then whatever, then you find yourself by the end of the day, you didn't do much. You didn't do much because you're going from one activities to another activities into social media, and you damage your heart. You damage your heart. Then he said, well, I come to the prayer and I can't focus in the prayer. Yes, you can't focus in the prayer. Because you can't focus because the heart is not ready. The heart is not clear. The heart was filled by many things. By the time you say Allahu Akbar, everything comes. Place in your mind. And this is why you don't think what the Imam says. We don't you focus on what the Imam says, because you spend 5, 6, 7 hours going from one activity to another activity, seeing that, and everything, it's stored in your heart. And this is why one of the reasons that you can't focus. Or if the Imam make a rak'ah a little bit longer, we complain. Why? Because the heart is not ready. It's not, you have the heart and the body. Maybe your body, you're a very healthy person, very strong person, but the heart is not ready. The heart is not there. The heart and mind is not in the prayer. So therefore, this is the very, very dangerous one. So we have to be careful, and specifically in the month of Ramadan, you have to put yourself limit to it. If you need to do it, you have to have put limit to it. If you don't put limit to it, then believe me, by the end of the day, you find yourself from Fajr and until Maghrib. Then you see, what did you do? What did you do? And then what will happen? By the time you need to make a lots of dua, lots of a problem happens. I know a brother, he made, I think, or organization, they made a survey. They made a survey and they asked some families and some people, what do you do 10 minutes or 10 or 5 minutes before iftar? What do you do? And they ask the honest opinion, and they don't believe the answers of those who said that this time it's argument time. They spend this time, the 10 or 15 minutes before iftar, they spend it in argument. Either the father doesn't like the food, or the father likes with the husband with the wife, arguing about food, arguing about something. Or the children, they don't like what their mother prepared, and they make the big deal of it. Ramadan is not just for food. I know food is important for a person, but Ramadan is not just for food. It's not just for food. The heart, it's more, have to be in your heart more than your body. If you clean your heart, anything you will eat, you will be satisfied with it. But the problem is, they said, they were honest, said they spend argue. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam told us what we need to do before iftar, what we need to do. This actually, each one of us should take this, the 10 minutes before iftar. Take it, reserve it for yourself. Reserve it for yourself. Because Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, لله عتقاء عند كل فطر. He said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala frees people from the hellfire at the time of iftar. And with each one of them has Allah guaranteed that person that will accept his dua. لكل منهم دعوة مستجابة. لكل منهم. Each one of them is guaranteed from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If he makes dua, Allah guarantees that person, his dua will be accepted. Now, we spend it in argument. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam told us, أنا زعيم بيت في الجنة. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, I guarantee a space, a place in paradise. من ترك المراء, those who leave the argument, those who don't argue and just because the sake of argument. Of course, outside the month of Ramadan, outside this time, if you have something to discuss with people, it's not a problem. The problem, the argument for something useless, because this is that happened, that blade nothing but makes the heart is hard and hard. Therefore, be careful. At that time, what we need to do it, we don't anybody to steal the month of Ramadan from us. with this argument, with nonsense argument. Rather, we should focus at that time, focus on our dua, focus on our adhkar, focus on to glorify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The other activities that it would steal the month of Ramadan, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, من لم يدع قول الزور والعمل به فليس لله حاجة أن يدع طعامه وشرابه. And this it comes, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, the one who does not leave the falsehood and make the talking lies, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not need this person to stay away from eating or drinking. And this does not mean that a person, okay, if a person lies, he goes and eat and drink. It doesn't mean that. It means that the person is doing something severe. Until a stage that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, this person, it looks like that if he breaks his fast, it doesn't matter. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hates the action that this person does. So therefore, watching what we say, this is very careful. It's very careful. You don't want to come to the day of the judgment after you fast. You get up early in the morning and you go to the masjid and you pray Taraweeh and you give sadaqah and you did a lot of activities. What do you want? What do you wish in the day of judgment? What do you wish? You want to see all these activities in your hand, right? All of us. But if we don't watch our actions, it might day come. When a day comes, then everything is empty. The books that we have, the action that we did, all the activities that we did, they are not there. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala very just. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very fair. But what would happen? Because the person on the day of judgment, there will be two currencies. There will be no dollar, no euro, nothing. There will be either good deeds or bad deeds. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts on the day of judgment. And the person who does lots of good deeds, but does not watch what he says, does not watch what he does to the others, does not watch how to save his activities, then the victims, they will take from that person's good deeds. So you insulted this person, you're going to give from this. You backbite this person, you're going to give him from your deeds. You steal something from the person, you're going to pay the price on the day of judgment. But even if that person's good deeds are finished, what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us, that the victim's bad deed, that person will take from the victim's bad deeds. Then eventually they will be the loser, because he lost his good deeds and he will take from the other people bad deeds. So therefore, a person has to be careful, has to watch. It's a real responsibility. Allah gave us the opportunity and extended our lives until we reach the month of Ramadan. Then it's one of us is his or her responsibility to save the activities, to save whatever a person does. Because if we do it and we give it to the others, I don't know, we are wasting our time. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the opportunity, then we have to use it properly, then we have to save it. Another thing that will steal Ramadan from us if we don't pay attention to it, the anger. So if you see Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in this hadith, is the only hadith when he mentioned that a person has to mention the ibadah that he is in. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, إذا كان صوم يوم أحدكم. He said, if a day when one of you is fasting, فلا يرفث ولا يسخب. First, two things. He said he should not use bad language. He said not scream. He said not yell. فإن سابه أحد أو شتمه. If a person challenging him, if a person insulted him, if a person tried to make you angry, and it happens sometimes for the smallest thing, it makes you angry because he wants to steal Ramadan from you. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he never said in any time when you meet a person, he said, oh, I am Hajj, or I am prayer, or I give zakah. Except in this hadith, فقال صلى الله عليه وسلم فقل إني امرؤ صائم. He said, oh, I am a fasting person. So this by itself, it should be a shield. It stops a person from going forward. Because the person at that moment, you could revenge. You could get back to the person. But Rasulullah ﷺ said, no. All what you need to remember yourself and remind the person in front of you, if he knows, said, Inni imru'un sa'im. Said, I am a fasting person. So this means I am in ibadah right now. So you start your ibadah the whole day. Because why? This is why Rasulullah ﷺ, he didn't say, oh, I am going to the prayer, or I am going to do Hajj. He said, Inni imru'un sa'im. He said, I am a fasting person. So this is my have obligation on myself and have obligation towards you as well. Something also, this is maybe more towards to the sisters. The kitchen will consume most of their day. And we appreciate the time that they spend and the food that they do. But also, the sisters, they have to understand that they should not waste the day of Ramadan is just in the kitchen. Should not do that. They should have some time for themselves as well. And the brothers also, they should be more flexible. They should no need, sometimes many problems happens in the families because of the food. Or they hear more food, less food. This is not for that. It's not for that. Sisters, they have the right also themselves to do something to work towards themselves, to save themselves also from the hellfire as well. But if we put them like to be from the noon until the Maghrib time, all the day to be on the kitchen, where they going to find time to work on themselves? Then after that, they get tired, they're going to sleep, they're going to wash the dishes, and they will end the day. So therefore, we have to be flexible with our sisters at home. So we have to be fair, and if you have to give help, give them a chance also to be closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For them, if any minute they spend, do it with sincerity, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward them for that, definitely. But should not exceed the limit. Should not exceed the limit. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, كُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا وَلَا تُسْرِفُوا. Eat and drink without exceeding the limit. And sometimes, and this is the whole families, that the food that we make more than what we eat. And everybody knows, the mothers and the fathers know their children exactly. If they eat what has left over or not, you know your children. If you know that you can eat this one, this is that what you can eat, don't make this one. If you're going to save it, okay. But most of the time, people, they don't save it. So this goes to the recycle or goes to the garbage. And this is a big problem. Because if we throw food in the garbage, the blessings, Allah takes the blessing from the house. So therefore, if you eat like that, make like that. Even though, because sometimes when you are like fasting, you are hungry, and you know that. But the time when you break your fast, you can't eat this amount. So if you eat this much, just keep it this much. Don't make this much, then you throw it. So and everybody knows their children, knows their family, People, they eat whatever has offer. I myself, I eat for a thing even for a week. I have no problem in that. But you know yourself. I know your family. So wasting food, this is absolutely gets the blessings out from the houses. There is no doubt about that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it food for us to eat, but not to waste the food. Not to waste it. Because there is, if you look, go to any country in Africa and they look to this, our brothers and sisters in in Palestine. The children, they can't find food to eat. And then we cook food, then we throw it in garbage. There's something, we need to be careful. So I know it's 5 o'clock, maybe I need to stop here. So all what I see in summary, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the opportunity, and this opportunity, it might not come again. It might not come again. We don't know. Last year, I myself, we know some people, they were in our masjid here. They were with us here. And they prayed with us, and they celebrated Ramadan with us, and they prayed Eid with us. But this year, they are not here. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive them and accept them in paradise. And this could happen to any one of us. We don't know. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when the time comes, will not consult anybody and will not take permission from anybody. When the time comes, we have to depart. So therefore, Allah give us this opportunity. We should show us, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we deserve this opportunity. And sometimes you go, ask people this, so-and-so in the hospital now. So-and-so, they're making the operation. So-and-so, has the cancer. So-and-so, Allah give us health, give us opportunity. We can come to the masjid, we can pray Taraweeh. We can come, we can sit down, listen to the lectures. Alhamdulillah, all these blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then we should not turn the month of Ramadan to a time of disobedience, to a time of argument. The month of Ramadan, it's time for cleanness, not the clothes, cleanness of our hearts. This is the time. If the heart is still remain the way that we entered Ramadan with, then we didn't do a good job. We didn't do a good job. Our heart should be different when we leave the month of Ramadan in a way that at least when we listen the recitation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Quran of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it has something in our hearts. Allah says, لَوْ أَنزَلْنَا هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ عَلَى جَبَلٍ. If mountain has, listen to the Quran, they will be khashia. They will have khushu'. How come then our hearts cannot have khushu' when we listen to the Quran? Because the hearts are still not ready. And this is the time here. The time that to clean the rust, the dust on the hearts, it's the month of Ramadan. To remove everything, it's a clean beige after the month of Ramadan. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم.
Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I just wanted to thank Sheikh Dr. Adil Al-Sayyid to take time out of his busy schedule to be with us once again. So on behalf of yourselves and the entire masjid, Sheikh, Jazakum Khairan, and we look forward to seeing you back. Sheikh is one of our khatibs here and imams here at the masjid. And a reminder, brothers and sisters, inshallah, we have the iftar and dinner tonight, the first one, inshallah. So please join us for Salat al-Maghrib, inshallah. Jazakum Khairan.